All right, today we got a special guest on Wet Your Palate. We've got Dave Kuba. He works in all things really reality TV. I was trying to remember the word that he described it as. Unscripted. That's it.
Unscripted.
And it's a
You can say reality. We've come back around.
Okay. I know.
He's keeping reality real, dude.
You got to change it once in a while. Keep it fresh. I get it. But no, the stories we went through today, thank you for opening up about it. Talking about a number of things from your current shows, previous shows, wild times.
The Joe Wagner reality show coming soon. We're making a deal. We're in the creation of it. We're just spitballing right now. But
I like seeing Chris's eyes light up when I'm talking about Too Hot to Handle. He's definitely going home to watch that tonight.
Yeah.
No, Dave. Yo, you're right.
Well,
you know me so well.
Well, Dave, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Check out his current show, House of Villains, right now.
Please.
And just go back into time and enjoy the stuff that he has been providing as far as great entertainment for, at this point, generations, going on 3 at least.
We didn't even get to talk about my experience on The Apprentice with our current president, but that's a story for another time.
Oh, my God.
Wait, what? You know what I mean? Like we're just getting to know each other. I wasn't gonna jump in like that.
Yeah, no. You've jumped. You're a level jumper. You've already.
A level
thanks,
jumper.
dude. Now I'm back, dude.
A
Thanks, man.
level jumper, which I want to know what. At some point, I'm going to ask the question: what does a level jumper mean in reality TV?
I think there's some good examples.
I'm sure that
I don't know. Yeah, I think everyone's a level jumper in reality TV. That makes you a better reality TV contestant.
I mean, would Tiffany be one? Like New York?
Yeah, for sure. She's the different person. She's like on her own wavelength. She's like nobody I've ever met before. I've known her for years, and I still can't really. There's like questions people ask me, and I'm like, I'm really not sure what the answer to that is, and that's what makes her so great.
It's still like there's still an enigma there. Like
people always ask me like if she realizes, like if she thinks of stuff she says that's so outrageous beforehand, or does she come up with it on the fly? And I'm like, she never reveals her secrets. It's just sort of like her mystique of who she is. And then we don't ask because you don't have to when they just deliver all the time. But she's just sort of like, I've like things that come out of her mouth that people love her for. Like have weird explanations that sometimes I don't figure out until later. Like she made Jax from Vanderpump Rules cry because she called him a demon and she saw it. But then later she was just, I found out that she just thought he looked like the guy from Lucifer, like the actor that played Lucifer.
Yeah.
So in her mind, he was a demon, yet that made him cry being called a demon. Like, she's like, I see your soul and it's dark, you're a demon. And she just...
Vanderpump Rules, dude? Like that's
pretty awesome.
Like that just broke him.
Honestly, I wish.
Yeah, that's what broke him after all that.
After all that, dude, that's crazy.
I wish commentary just rolled off of my tongue like that. Like that's a special talent.
That is her special talent.
Yeah.
She can just be thrown into a situation and turn on. But like when she's living in a house with other people, she spends like so much time in her room. Like she literally hangs out with the rest of our cast for House of Villains less than anybody. She'll be in her room, like, recharging, as we call it, and just doing her own thing. And then she'll come downstairs and interact with 5 people and know that, like, we've got our work for the day. And it's not like we tell her to do that. She just naturally does that. Like, we don't have to be like, go downstairs and hang out with everyone, because we know that when she does go downstairs, she makes it count. I don't know why. She's just
you're right. Then you're right. She's on a different level.
Was it? Well, so that's a real talent for.
Yeah, she's just meant to do this. There's certain people you meet that you're just such an interesting character, and you're just meant to be on reality TV, and that's why people like them. And they're not trying to be someone else. They're just themselves. Like they're just so original.
I see like the past like books that thespians would like follow, like an actor prepares, and I feel like they're going to be coming out with this whole kind of movement of like how to prepare to be in the moment as a reality star, or like a different kind of thing. Like we were just talking about this
it is actually
came on, like the actor versus entertainer.
Is there any training for it?
I don't think so. I think you either have it or you don't.
We got a lot of questions about this.
That's
so
a quick book.
We should do the introductions here.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Well, yeah.
Proper introduction.
Hey, welcome
please.
to Go With Your Palate, all of our viewers and listeners out there. You got me and Fat Mario over here, and of course Joe Wagner, and we talk about wine. I mean, really,
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and whatever the fuck else. It's
a lot of whatever.
There's a lot of that, and no shortage of that is going to be today because we have Dave Kuba, the Executive Vice President of Development and Current Programming at Irwin Entertainment. And I'm going to simplify that by saying that you have been a reality TV pioneer and producer. And you have a number of shows. I'm going to just go through a list. I'll let you go through a number of them. But currently hitting up House of Villains, right? But also have worked on Baller Wives, Fast Foodies, The Apprentice, Flavor of Love.
Oh, yeah. I Love New York.
Yeah?
I mean, the list goes on. I mean,
Love Money.
You've done so much creatively. I mean, all your experience, stuff like that. And it's, I even know, like, I don't even jump on your story, but I was just like, I love where your story starts with Change of Heart. I remember that. That story too, but I'll let you tell it.
I mean, I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about. I'm very curious. I hope you can divulge some information. Maybe some of your non-disclosure agreements have lapsed, and you're able to open up the.
Can tell you.
we want the juice. If the statute of limitations.
No, that makes sense.
Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I was going to say, I always like to hear the origin story first. First just how you got into this, and then we'll open it up a little bit because I think people always are curious. The origin story is so important about, everybody, but when you have such a unique role in the world, like how does somebody even fall into something like the world that you currently live and work and breathe in?
Yeah, I guess sort of by accident. I went, when I was younger, I would always take out my video camera and make different videos of different things. And so I went to Syracuse to TV, radio, and film school. And, at the time, reality wasn't really even a thing. There was the real world, which really wasn't called reality back in the day because it was like on an island as its own thing. There was like Cops, and then there were like talk shows and like late night dating shows like what was the one, Studs, like things like that. But nothing like that when I went to college. I think I wanted to be the next Steven Spielberg, like a lot of people. But I went to school. I think there was like a school television network, and I always like sort of fell into the role of like VJ or doing like the wraparound programming like MTV. I didn't get cable until I was older. My dad was very cheap, and so I had a little bit of an obsession with MTV because I didn't get it till I was older, and so I liked the way that it was like at the forefront of pop culture. But then, long story short, I was supposed to move out to Los Angeles. My dad was like, "Well, you don't have a job like most people moving out to Los Angeles, so you're on your own." And I was like, "Fine, I can get by on ramen." And I went to go visit a friend in New York to say goodbye before I left because I grew up outside the city. I drove into the city, and my car got towed, and I had to get it out of an impound lot. And $350 later, I was like, maybe I'm not ready to go to LA. I'm close enough to New York where TV's made. And I applied to everything I possibly could apply to. And I saw a posting for one of those late night dating shows that I was talking about, like the iteration of Blind Date and Studs, and the next one of them was Change of Heart, which was I don't know if you remember that show, but it was basically like a talk show with a little bit of like what later became reality TV baked into it, and there was so they were looking for casting people, and I applied, I got the job, and I think they thought I was some like really big party person, and really the job was to like walk around the streets of New York and go to like clubs and bars at night and ask people if they wanted to be on this dating show. And I immediately, it didn't take long before I realized I wasn't good at that. Like if I was really good at just randomly going up to muscle muscly dudes and like super hot modelly women, then I would use it for my own purposes. But you know, it was even worse when you were like, you had to go approach someone in a bar and be like, excuse me, and then they're like, you're immediately judged, and you're like, no, I'm gonna put you on a TV show where you might break up with your boyfriend. So that was
it was so edgy for its time.
If you don't know what
pitch. Well, and you know that was like the beginnings of reality TV, where like people weren't even thinking, "Oh, this is my shot at fame." Right. Like, so you're literally cold calling people about something they are not interested in because they know nothing about it.
It was like I think at the time it was like a fun thing to do because it was only like, you know, a one and done. You're not going to become famous from this, but you could be like, cool, I was on TV once, like call your cousin and check it out. But the show was basically, for anybody who doesn't know, is like a couple would come on and like the first segment is on a talk show set, basically. The first segment they talk about how they met, what they like about each other, and then what they don't like about each other. And then on the second segment, you know, we'd be like, well, Tommy is with Jessica and he doesn't like that she's short, stupid, and hates wine. So we set him up with a girl who's tall, smart, and is a huge wine drinker. Come on out, Nancy.
So messed up.
Dude, before
and she would come out,
Island, like before all this stuff.
It was before Temptation Island. It was like one date. And basically they'd be like, talk about their date, and we would show like little clips from the date, like just because we didn't have. At one point, I was shooting dates. It was just like a small PD 150 camera and a couple of mics. It wasn't good enough to like. I wouldn't even call it broadcast quality, but you know, we put effects on the clips, and it was like rolled into a talk show, so it worked. And then obviously we switched it. Then we would show, you know, the other person's date. And then the very last segment, they had cards, very lo-fi, that either said change of heart or stay together. And they'd flip it over one at a time, and it would be whether they want to stay together, have a change of heart, and break up. And so that was my first job. And I wasn't great at casting, but I like pitched myself to my boss. Like I could do like so many different things. I can shoot dates. I can dub tapes, I can edit, because I did that in college, and so I sort of ended up becoming like the guy who did a little bit of everything on the show until I eventually, in my second year, started producing episodes of the show. But I think it was like, even though reality wasn't like totally a thing, Survivor was just coming out, had just come out the year before, so it was just taking off, and right around the same time, Bachelor Season 1 was coming out, so it wasn't really even defined. I don't even know if anybody called it reality, but I think my first taste in it was, I think one of my first days I was on the set, behind the set, and there was a girl who's like who like had went out and like had a good time with this guy, and you're watching it going, she's clearly gonna break up with him. And I walked behind the set and I saw a producer being like, no, you don't want to break up with him. Come on, he went out and had such a good time. He looked so sad. Like, you should look like the hero here. Don't you want to? And I was like, but, oh. And somebody quickly said to me, if everybody just broke up, if both people said change of heart, as soon as the first person says change of heart, it doesn't matter what the second person says. They're broken up, it doesn't matter. So our ideal situation is somebody says stay together, and the other person's like, bam, change of heart, you're dead. Yeah,
absolutely.
So they're like 60% of the time we want that. 30% of the time we can have the ending where they decide to stay together, and like less than 10% can they both break up with each other, or the show stinks. And one thing so that was like my first lesson in producing, but I think over time what I've come to realize is like, if you have to control the narrative that much, your show concept or your show itself isn't that great. So I think that as time went on, it's like, if you have a really good concept and really good cast, you don't have to be telling people what to do, despite what a lot of people think. Like, that's not a great show to me.
Well, I mean, so you happen to start off in kind of the casting role, and I'm really curious about this part, because there's the balance of actors versus performers, or maybe and I'm maybe not using the right terms, entertainers, right? But are you looking for people that have kind of an acting ability, or is it purely just on screen, quick momentum, being able to kind of be the excitement in front of the camera at the moment that they want to? Or what do you look for? I mean, I just have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, I think I look for people who are like unique personalities. Like, I've never met anybody like this person before is the best, because especially now, we've seen the same person trying to be the villain so many times over and over again. I also think, so that's one. I think two is somebody who's like authentic and unapologetically themselves and super authentic. So like, a lot of times people are like, oh, that person was the villain on that show. And I make a show called House of Villains, so I like have a personal love for a lot of these villains. But I think a lot of them get labeled the villains because they go on a show with a bunch of yahoos and they basically say it like it is. They call it like it is. They speak their mind. When you're on a show like this, and you're being interviewed, what we want to know is like not just what we're seeing, what you think about it, what you're actually thinking and not saying, what your opinion is. So people who just kind of say exactly what they're thinking and what is going on every moment are the most interesting people, and they're being their authentic selves. And a lot of times the quote-unquote villains are the people who do that. Like, everybody else was thinking it. They just didn't care. They're like, you know what? I'm real. Yeah. I'll tell you what I was thinking. A lot of times there are people who are so worried about how they're going to come off on TV that they are like trying to look good, and then they're a pain in the ass off camera, and they're the real villains in real life. They just are like, psycho, like a psycho. Great.
I've got
like wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing, right?
I've got an ex-wife. Yeah. I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I also think like some of these people have acting talents, and I think some of them are just like, why do you like, who would watch? Why do you want to watch a show with just like people who can sort of act? It's like you'd rather have people being themselves and reacting the way they would normally react, but they're just happen to be very over the top, very honest, very funny people. So I would say their personalities, right? They're like first and foremost personalities. Almost like a talk show host is a personality. They're not playing a character. They're themselves trying to be funny, charming, and interesting. And they also a lot of great talk show hosts, as you know, have like a little bit of cojones. They ask the tough questions. They say the things that everyone's thinking, and they're not afraid to hold back. And that also goes true for being a reality producer doing interviews. Like, if you feel shy about asking the question everybody wants to know the answer to, then that's not the job for you. You got to be like, all right, I'm going to ask this question, even though it makes me feel weird to ask it. Everyone's thinking it, and I'm just going to go for it.
And you're surrounded by a bunch of people, too, that like just putting somebody in a corner. That's always fun. And so is it like through a casting call? When you're looking for new talent, or is it a casting call, or what?
Well, when I first started and did casting, it was like the internet wasn't that big and wasn't popular. There was like Craigslist, and for whatever reason, they wouldn't let us use it back then. They were like worried and scared about it, so we literally had to walk the streets and go up to people and then bring them in, like sign them up for a time to come in, and then they would get interviewed. If they were couples, there was like a longer interview process where we would want to know their whole story and try to suss out if they're actual real couple or pretending to be. And then for the single people, they basically had to look hot and be able to tell a funny date story, and we were like, you're on, right? So that was all that. Now it's a little bit, there's so many different ways. There's all these people there's casting companies in Unscripted that were people that a lot of them worked used to be like production companies had their own casting departments. And then those people that were really good at it started their own company. So a company like mine will get a project and we'll talk to a bunch of companies. They'll give us a bid. We'll decide who we think is the best one for this. And then they go out and find the people. And mostly these days, a lot of it's through Instagram and just, some posts that people respond to, or targeted casting. If we really want something specific, they'll like look into those groups or those organizations and find those people. And some of it would be like, if it calls for it, like, on the streets. I remember talking to somebody who was like casting for Biggest Loser. in the early seasons, and they would have to go to malls and be like, "Hey, you're really big. Want to lose weight?" Like, I mean, that would be. Yeah.
You gotta have some balls to do that, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wait till my
That might
husband
be
comes back
harder
to
than-
beat your ass.
Dude.
Yeah, you get your ass beat. Yeah.
But you mentioned
that's
that
like-
you mentioned that there's now casting companies specifically for unscripted
Sure,
television, and so are there? Then I would also assume that there is talent that specifically looks for unscripted jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best people are like people who have other jobs as a way in, like they were already doing something else, and they're like, that's what made them interesting. They're real people, and then eventually, like when you've been on one show, you quit your job and you get on Instagram and try to make more money, and then try to get on more shows. So then they do become like the Tom Sandoval's of the world, Kate Chastain's. Like these people become professional reality stars to some degree, while also being today influencers. I think a lot of people that end up on unscripted TV already have influencer followings these days, and so it's a way to just appeal to a new audience that might not have followed you before and gain traction, or vice versa. You were like a nurse cast on Survivor, and you got some followers from that, and then you're like, well, I can quit my job and keep putting up content and getting more and more followers and start getting paid to just be an influencer. So there's both of that. And I think a lot of these shows we're talking about are like formatted shows, like where you go out and cast, and then there's shows that it's like it begins with the cast, like, and that's people like who are less casting companies, and like people who work for me, who like go find people to base shows around from scratch. Like, oh my God, I found these people that own this dance studio, and there was this whole family, and they had a dance studio, and then there was a fight between the son and the mom, and he started his own dance studio, and then the daughter started hers, and now they're all rivals, and they're in the middle of Alabama, and they're crazy. They should have their own show. That's kind of like a different kind of casting that is like, can we build a whole show around you is way different, and it's harder these days. There was a time where there was a lot more of that, and they sort of pulled back on that, and now it's kind of coming back again. So,
I mean, I'm going to tell you, Dave, I've got a bit of a hankering to become a reality TV star, and with my massive success in being an influencer, my part-time job as a winemaker.
He just saying this. He was actually approached about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I think I could say this because we have no statute of limitations or any agreements that were made, but it was like Ping Pong Productions approached him. I think Dr. Pimple Popper and a Ghost Nation, and and it kind of got us to this concept that we've been also talking about too, where or this idea that Napa Valley, it feels like they've tried. And I know that in the entertainment business, there's been pitches about Napa Valley reality shows, but like has not yet been successful. And I feel like he was approached for that reason, where they thought, someone would be interested.
Dude, my life is boring.
Which is pretty crazy.
But
He's got like 6 kids, 5 dogs.
But wine country itself is boring, man.
Man, it's also a soap opera itself, though. I mean, there'd be a lot of good.
I think there's this book. I think the guy's name was James Conway, and he just tried to like dig up all the dirt on like the families and whatever else history, but also families up to current in wine country, and then he just like made them bombastic stories. And so I think that caught people's eyes. Were like, oh, there's some shit going down in wine country. And I've read it. And you're like, oh, this is like, I mean, just trying to like throw all the dirt. And yeah, there's like family stuff here and there and whatever. It's pretty funny. I mean, there's probably more great stories about the antics of tourists in wine country than there are about the actual daily going ons of But anyways, I thought it was funny. But I don't know. I don't think I'm a good personality for it.
It's funny that you say that. There's always been like certain weird thing. Like there's so many companies that do this now. When cable blew up, so many people all day long are trying to figure out what shows they can pitch, what's the next thing, and they have teams calling everywhere. You'll be like, I had this random thought, and I called someone, and they're like, oh yeah, we got called last week, and you're like, but what you do is so random. You know, somebody must have watched the same thing and it got in their head. So for whatever reasons, over the years, there's been like areas that have always been tough. Horses, fire, and wine/liquids. I don't know why. In the last few years, there's actually been cocktail contests.
Interesting.
That kind of, a couple Netflix ones made it through. I don't think they had a lot of success, but I don't also think that there's like they're visual enough, really. But for whatever reason, like, we don't know why those things have always just been areas that people are like, oh, that doesn't work. But I have gotten, pitches in all of those worlds, including wine, over the years, and tried to figure it out. And that's not to say there isn't a story there somewhere that would be good. Like, it's just like, what's the way in that feels different? Like, a Real Housewives of Napa Valley, like, if there was the right cast members who were wealthy, affluent, and married, had their own vineyards or
drama
had
queens,
lots of,
yeah.
like, that's a show.
Is your mom available?
I mean, what is your mom up to, man?
Yeah, what are moms up to?
Hey, Art, Chad, what are your wives doing?
We're gonna pitch you. We're getting our pitch.
Yeah, you find me a cast, I'm in. A great cast.
Dude, how about just our office?
Yeah, dude, yeah. See,
No.
now you got him started again. But I
do have to ask though, because just thinking about the three things. I guess three things you said, right? So fire, horses, and beverages of any sort, liquids. So is there something in any of the shows that has been like a major deterrent for adopting, or a hardship, I should say, after adopting, because it took the cast so much work to actually do it while a camera was on them? Or is there, do you know what I'm asking?
You mean like because the wine process is slow? Is that what you're
Well,
trying
wine process is slow and it's so physically involved. And the last thing that like me as a winemaker would want is like a cast and crew following me around, because I wouldn't be able to get my work done.
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah, it's definitely like things that happen quickly are usually more interesting for like a process-driven show. Like, you could, like, a winemaking show feels more like a documentary because it's like, the process feels more like slow and soothing and interesting and learning about grapes and all that kind of stuff.
But then that sounds boring.
Oh man, he doesn't know bully though. So, come on, you got to bring the bully variable.
He's talking about our legend, winemaker.
Sorry. Yeah, so things that are like they're slow. I mean, it is more documentary style. And then by far comparison, you got fire, which is extremely fast.
Yeah, I think the problem with the fire that I guess maybe it's always just been unpredictable, and it's like you can't sit around and wait for, make it like with production schedules. Like, you would like, oh, we're going to follow this fire crew for the next 3 weeks. And that's our production window, and no big fires happen. And now we have no show. Like, yeah. So I think that was like the way it's spread. These are just things that even when I was coming up that people have told me, and I've yet to see them like become big shows. Like, horses are interesting, but I don't know. There's been a lot of like equine therapy shows or things in that world. There's just a lot of things in this business people are always like, why hasn't there been a show about this? I have this great idea. And I'm like, I've heard that 7,522 times. Or my wife will be like, yeah, but what about no? And she's like, yeah, but I was like, it's just no. Like, I just know it's not going to sell. It's a great idea, but I just know it's been out there.
And that's why you're a producer. You're like, nope.
Yeah.
Just cut it off at the pass, no.
But then you have something like you creating like a House of Villains. I feel like when that came up and I'm hearing about, people saying, wow, like, why did nobody think of this before? It was like that's something that like was just, once it was out there and people were watching it and it was like so impactful, it's just having that knack for it. I was just like wondering, like, when you're doing it, because it looks like, when I look at it, I'm like, this seems like an Avengers of chaos, really. Like, you needed all these perfect parts. Was it like that? Or did you already kind of have your set group? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm being honest, people had thought of it before. I had thought about it years ago. I had a show called I Didn't Come Here to Make Friends that I was kind of that, but it was more of like taking villains and putting them on a namaste type retreat, but then giving them every way of like losing their cool and seeing if they could contain themselves. But I think I pitched it like when I started this job, and it was like not the right time in the industry. I don't know who's buying that. The truth of the matter is, like, we were approached by NBCU at one time, and for E, they wanted to like start doing more celebrity house shows again, like they had like years ago. Like they kind of they weren't like as popular for a few years, and so they kind of like came to us with a couple thoughts, and they just had a title, House of Villains, and I was like, really? You want to? Okay. Like sometimes it takes the internal network being like, we want to do this idea, and you're like, yeah, I've thought of that before, but now they're invested, they're giving me money, they want to do it. Now I have to come and pitch the best version of that show. And we started with just a title, and it went through many iterations. But I think for me, one of the things that was important to me, and one of the reasons why I thought it might, like, that would help it make it work when it seemed so obvious, is the tone. I think, a bunch of people that are just like awful people in a house, like yelling and fighting, like we already had that called Real Housewife, but they're not in a house. And that's not really my favorite kind of show to make. And no, people love those shows, and I'm mostly just joking about that. But what I was saying is, like, the term villains is like funny because like nobody in real life is like, I'm a villain, but when you're on reality TV, you like, there are people that own that moniker proudly, like, I'm a villain and I don't care, I love it, it's fun. And so I wanted to make it like a love letter to reality TV and the history of it, and also like not take itself too seriously, and sort of like spoof reality TV at the same time while we're making a reality TV show. So it's not like a scripted parody, it's a real life parody where our cast members are like seasoned, famous experts from villains. They've been here a million times. They can sort of like laugh at themselves and their own reputation, and we can own it. And our challenges are ridiculous and over the top, and our names and titles are, and the way we shoot our hero shots that make fun of their legacy and them being down to be a part of it. And casting Joe McHale, who hosted The Soup, who were like, yeah, you have at them. They're villains. Yeah. Like, nobody's going to feel bad for them. And they laugh at Joel's jokes when they're getting dissed. They love all the attention, a lot of them. And I love attention too, so I'm not mad at them for that. I'm happy that they are people who love attention. But, I think that's also part of what makes them great. And then over time, the pitches and the editing got even sillier and sillier. We kind of made up a lot of it as we went along, but I wanted to start doing things like someone says something and we cut to a screen that says footage not found because it never happened. And like, yes. Yeah. So as like the editors of the show, you could hear the editor's voice in it. Like we're commenting as producers, we're rolling our eyes. You can feel the eye roll. You hear a lot of times our producers in the interview, like saying things like, sort of like joking with the cast, like not making fun of them, but reacting to the things that they're saying in a way that is like, so basically what you just said is blank. And they're like, yeah, sure. And then things that would usually be cut out, we keep in. And also we owned a lot. There are so many things that happen and go wrong on these shows that you never get to see. And people are so curious about how the sausage was made. Yeah. So like, we had this cool date where they were driving these cool classic cars and they get in, let's go. The car doesn't start. We kept that in. And then being like, what the hell? And we're like, that's great. Like, and people like really appreciate that. The first day, the first person to walk in was Johnny Fairplay. And he walks in and he's like, let me do that again. I can do it better. And he did it again instead of the same thing. And we just like put both in the show. Because we're like, yeah, that's what they do. These people come in and they self-produce. Wouldn't it be nice to see that? We didn't tell them to. Yeah. Yeah. So it's so much fun. And that kind of became the visual language. That became like our show. And I think that's what made it work this, like, instead of just any show just with a bunch of villains. I think there's a lot of ideas that have been pitched a million times that haven't been made that tomorrow will be announced. And I'll be like, I can't believe they're finally making that. I've thought of that a million times. And it's really about the execution these days rather than the idea that will make it good or bad, I think.
I mean, getting into like the pitching
Yeah.
or hearing a pitch. So it sounds like you get it from both sides, right? You're getting pitch shows, but you're also pitching.
Yes.
Are there any like? I'd love to just hear like if you got some highlight reels of your like the dumbest things you've ever heard about, or the best things that you ever heard about but never really brought to fruition.
The best stuff is sort of, I mean, the worst stuff is like, I've had people come in and pitch me things with like one page that there's like no format, and I have to be like, and then what happens? Okay, so they'll be like, yeah, wine country, there's so much craziness and drama. And I'll be like, and who are the characters? What are this? Like, what's that? So I think, you know, those are kind of the worst pitches. I've had things that like, maybe that I've pitched or that I've like made that I'm like, wow, I can't believe we did that. Or like, we had a show that we did a pilot for VH1 called, it was originally called DTR, Define the Relationship, and we brought 3 couples in, and we were like, they're all hanging out, we take the guys out, and then the women are just there, and our host comes in and is like, ladies, I hope you're all happy in a relationship, but little surprise for you, by the end of tonight, one of you is going to be proposed to, one of you is going to be dumped, and one of you is going to be told a secret that might make you want to dump your person. Dun dun dun. And it sounds crazy and it sounds dramatic, and it was, to the point that one of our execs was crying by the end of it, and we kind of just realized it was a little too in your face, like insane, and they all started the night thinking they were going to get proposed to. And by the end, and then we basically, the idea was to compare notes, like look at his social media, look at text, and analyze together and be like, through the process of like, oh, wow, like, you know, you must be the one getting dumped. Oh, well, I look more like the person, well, you guys look happy. Maybe I'm getting dumped. And they all went from thinking they were all going to be proposed to by the end, they were all sure they were getting dumped. And then it was still like, you know, when it all went down, it was very dramatic and very emotional.
You pitched this, and you did execute on it.
We did a pilot. And
So are you like, how good are you at gaslighting? Because this sounds like just a show of gaslighting. Like
with the people on the show.
Yeah, dude, it sounds like massive fuckery.
like
yeah, it's a lot of, when you're doing something like that, it's a lot of like, there's people, you know, looking at you like, are you trying to ruin my life? You're like, no, it's great. Like, I'm not. I'm trying to make a show. I'm trying to do my job. It's great. But really, that isn't the intention, and I think that's why I'm saying it was kind of it sounds great because it's dramatic and it's crazy and people are crying. But, like, literally almost everybody on set was like, oof, I feel bad. Like, I feel like we went a little too far. I'm sure it would have rated really high, but the network didn't end up picking it up, and I kind of understand that it was like a little like, at that point in time, low-hanging fruit, a little too easy. I don't think that was like the craziest bad idea ever. I definitely think half of my ideas are like 6 months or 2 years later, I'm like, ooh, woof. But my job is to constantly keep churning things out and keep pitching things, and you're responding to things that happen in the moment. And so no idea is as great as that first day you bring it up and you're in a room with your team and you're brainstorming it and everyone's yes-ending and you get super excited and it gets better and better, and then like every minute after that the idea gets worse and worse to the point where you like, I've been like, you know, you pitch it to like 6 different places and the pitches are spread out, and then after 4 people like pass on it for whatever reason, you're like, this idea, I hate it. And then you're like, man, I got to pitch it 2 more times. And it's like, ugh, now I hate it. Can we just move on to the next thing? But Fast Foodies was a show I personally loved, but I pitched it like 5 places. Everybody passed. And I had 1 pitch left at Turner, and it had gotten pushed, kept getting pushed weeks and weeks. And we actually, finally the pitch came up, and we had like we were in this bake-off for a show, like a new show with Patty Stanger. Like, Patty Stanger wants to do a show. We want to work with her. We're going to a couple of production companies. Let's hear your ideas. So we were, like, in the middle of that. So we're like, you know what? We'll go to that. We'll pitch the show, but then we'll start talking about the Patty Stanger thing and use it as an opportunity for that. We, like, showed them our tape and started pitching it, and the exec got super excited and, like, bought it on the spot in the room. Like, I want to do this, which almost never happens. They're usually like, I like it. Let me go talk to my team. And then your agent chases them and you hear back. We sold this one in the room. The guy loved it. And it was like, I love it again. Wow. Okay. His excitement made me excited again. But there's so many, like, there's just so many ideas that come in and out and around again. So.
Sorry, what was Fast Foodies? Forgive me. But
So that idea kind of came from the idea that I think somebody on my team were talking about how David Chang, this chef David Chang, who works in all these great restaurants, on one of his like documentaries or something, talked about his love for Domino's pizza, and we're like, that's so cool, like to have a chef who's like makes all this great food to love Domino's pizza, and we were like, we had heard about a couple other like examples of that, and we're like, it's so cool that even chefs who are supposed to be snooty, like sometimes just love fast food, and they can talk about it in a way like no one else can. Why is it great? Why does it taste great? Why does it make you feel a certain type of way? Like one of them said, I remember one of our chefs said something like, you can go to any McDonald's anywhere in the country and you'll have the same taste, the same flavor. Everybody experiences that. And that's like this warm feeling you get. So that was like the basis of the show. And the show is like these three different chefs. One is Kristen Kish, who now hosts Top Chef. Another guy, Jeremy Ford, who owns a lot of he won Top Chef. He owns all these great restaurants in Miami. And another guy, Justin Sutherland, who won Iron Chef America. They're all three different chefs from three different backgrounds who all happen to have an affinity for fast food. And every week they invite a different comedian on, or a personality, mostly comedians, to keep it super funny. And Joel McHale would come on, and or Bobby Lee came on and was like, I love the sausage McMuffin with egg from McDonald's. I love it. And they all sit and talk about why they love it. And then all three of our chefs go into the kitchen and try to recreate it, the sausage McMuffin, get as close to it as possible. Yeah. Meanwhile, Bobby's in the kitchen. It's not like a high stakes competition. It's like friendly competition. They're talking shit. They're in the kitchen. The comedian comes in, cooks for them, and then the comedian tries all three and decides which one's the best. And then in round two, they have to make a very a culinary, more highfalutin, more culinary dish inspired by the sausage McMuffin with egg. Dude,
how have I never seen this?
That's what I'm saying. Now we're gonna go back and revisit that, because this is we are aligned.
You like
that's like something we would do it in our own houses. Like
we do it.
Yeah.
It's just last week. You've been doing it for years actually, but just perfecting the crunch wrap. The Taco Bell crunch wrap, and he'll just try to send me pictures and be like, "No, this is it now. Now I got it. You gotta go over." You know what I mean? And then
so you make your own version from scratch.
Yeah.
And
dude, I crushed awesome. In-N-Out too. I fucking crushed In-N-Out.
Well, I didn't taste it yet. You haven't crushed it till it passed the taste test.
They can't
no,
touch me.
we gotta say it. Be like,
In-N-Out's got shit on me now. That's it.
I took.
Yeah.
Oh, do they? Well, we'll see, dude. Because you're talking to In-N-Out's favorite fan right here, dude.
Chris did tell me yesterday.
Cheers. Everyone knows your name. Napa, In-N-Out.
Chris yesterday told me,
what's up, Lucy? You know what I'm doing.
I think I gotta stop or start going to In-N-Out only once a week. Dude,
yeah, I did
what is the secret behind the secret sauce? It's always ketchup, mayonnaise, and relish. Or whatever.
I'll tell you this:
every secret sauce.
I was always known for having a high metabolism. But then I finally found out how to break that. It was going to In-N-Out more than 3 times a week. Oh, man, I shouldn't even admit that.
I see the cheeseburger on your shirt. So.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't give you a shirt.
I didn't even.
They shouldn't give you a shirt. Yeah,
just holding all your favorite things. Got mushrooms on there. 40. Anyways,
40?
I digress.
Yeah. So Fast Foodies sounds like an awesome show.
Yeah. So that was on TBS for 2 seasons, and then they re-aired it and recut it for Food Network, where they got rid of some of the comedy, some of the silly comedy, and more process, which we had because the length of it, there was there's enough raw footage to recut it to be more like Food Network. So yeah, that was just a super fun show to make. I just I had a passion for it, and we shot a little tape for it ourselves, and it had a couple iterations before it hit air. But it was yeah, it was super fun.
I bet that was a blast.
Yeah.
We had a third round originally where it was like, it was too much, but it was recreate the dish. Another one that was based on like this internet trend where you would like just take an actual Egg McMuffin and you would have to like turn it, the actual Egg McMuffin into something else more culinary, like deconstruct it and then put it on top of something. And then the third round was going to be just make something inspired by it. And when we shot the original presentation, someone like, it was like Ilio's Pizza, and somebody made like a chicken parmesan sandwich on 2 pieces of Ilio's Pizza, which was kind of amazing. If you ever want to try it, I have to say.
Dude, it
was really good.
Dude, you're just talking about all my loves right there.
Pizza, using pizza as your hamburger buns. It's life-changing.
We're on it now, dude.
Yeah. Well, he's talking about sandwiches. I mean, either one, but pizza should be your bun for everything, in my opinion, now.
I like it, yeah.
Those are be my second favorite buns.
Dude, don't be gross. You pervert over here.
What?
As soon as you start talking about food with Chris, all of a sudden he gets all horny and shit. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like lots of innuendos there in the food.
Is it bad if I was just like, shout out to my girl? She's like, I hate you.
Oh, yeah, she'd punch you in the face, dude.
Moving along. Sorry.
So I did want to get into the psychology of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, and I'm sure Dave knows a lot more about it than us. But like, and you had mentioned Cops, which since I was a kid, like Cops was really the first kind of reality TV, but it wasn't reality. I mean, it was overly realistic, but you didn't have like the back of house drama to kind of see where it ended up. It was just all of a sudden some criminal gets tackled, handcuffed, and there's cameras in their face, and then you kind of see some of that stuff, right? But it wasn't really, the storyline wasn't there. It was just you were waiting for that moment, right? And it was like, I was addicted to it. I loved watching it, but it seems like that psychology continued to carry forward. But I don't know what that psychology is. Is it just, are we wanting to live through other people's happiness and pain?
Is this really the end? Unbelievable. Find out next week.